and welcome to the Cult Cinema Circle podcast. My name is Jesse, and I'll be your host. Before we get started, please make sure you subscribe to the show on your podcatcher of choice, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to give the show 5 stars and a 1 to 2 sentence review, and tell me what you think. If you'd like to follow the show on social media, you can do so on Instagram at Cult Cinema Circle, or on Twitter at Cult Cinecircle, or you can send me an email at cultcinemacircle@gmail.com. You can also follow me on Letterboxd at Jesse Kremp, JESSEKREMP, all one word, and all social media links will be put in the show notes. Now on with the show. And welcome back, y'all. So today we're going to go over what I watched in the month of October of 2024. Now, I was planning on doing the 2 challenges like I did last year, where I was watching along with the Horror Queers their October watch calendar, and then with also Haunted Hippie, I was doing their October watch list challenge thing. And I did get through a few of them. However, I kind of dropped off a little bit. I was a tired bitch, pretty much. And I just stopped really watching a whole lot of movies near the end of the month, just because I was kind of spent. But I did end up getting a lot of watches in though, and I'm glad I did. So we're gonna go over what those are now. So to start off my month, I started with a little movie that was part of the Horror Queers watch along. So that was for day 1. They had China, so I had to find a Chinese movie, and this is a movie called Dream Home from 2010. So this is about a woman who is currently working in like a call center telemarketing job or something. And she's going to go at whatever lengths possible to get her little dream home in, I think it's Korea. Where is it? It's Hong Kong, I think. That's where it is. So it technically kind of fits or whatever. But yeah, so pretty much what she's doing is she is driving down the property value of the apartment she really wants, which is like a seaside apartment, by killing people, pretty much. I just said, damn, that's a lot of blood. I gave this a 3.5. I gave this a 3 out of 5. It was fine. Like I said, this is a very bloody movie, but like I wouldn't say I like loved it after a while. The main girl in it who's killing all the people, it's kind of fun, but like, I mean, other than that, I was like, I don't think I would rewatch it personally, in my opinion, but like, it's just me. But but Dream Home, it was fun. It was on Prime Video, so it was a good time. The next movie I watched was actually a one location movie, so it takes place in one location, and I decided to watch The Void from 2016, which is directed by Steven Kaczynski, who's been a part of some like Psycho Gorman, I believe, and like I think he just did, was it Frankie Frico or something like that? Like he's been doing some things, but I had never watched The Void, and what The Void's about is it's pretty much takes place in this like rural hospital, I guess. And well, it's kind of like a cosmic horror thing going on. There's pretty much like these creatures from the other dimension that are bringing you in. I mean, honestly, I just said it was like Hellraiser, but throw some cosmic horror in there and then put it in a hospital. That's kind of what I got from it. This isn't even not for everybody, honestly, but I mean, I gave it a 3.5 and a little heart. I like how weird it got at the end. And just like how fucking weird it was. So I can get down with that. So that's what I ended up watching for that. The next thing I watched the next day was for day 2 of the Horror Queers. It was a Clown. So there's plenty to choose from here. But I decided to go back a little ways, and I decided to watch All Hallows Eve from 2013, which is directed by Damien Leone, the guy who did the Terrifier series, or is doing the Terrifier series. So this is our introduction to Mr. Art the Clown, and it's pretty much about like a babysitter who they find this like VHS tape in one of the kids like candy bags, and they, I guess, watch it, and it's really a collection of different little short films. And I think I ended up saying, I said the third story in this is probably the best, which is the one that has art in it. It's called Terrifier. It's not the movie Terrifier, obviously, but it's a short that was made years before called Terrifier. And it's similar-ish, not completely, but if you've seen the first Terrifier, you know what I'm talking about, especially if you've seen this. But it was, the third one was pretty interesting. You know what I mean? I didn't mind the third little story in here. The other stories within this, the first and the second one, I'm just like, I think one's about aliens, and then the other one is about some fucking demons in a subway tunnel or something. I don't even remember. But anyway, so that's what I watched. Yeah. And then the next thing I watched actually was for a dynamic duo in a horror movie. And you know what? I decided to watch a little something from 2005 called House of Wax. Now, we've talked about House of Wax on here before because I did Tourist Trap, which I think is just pretty much a House of Wax remake. Or Tourist Trap is like House of Wax is a Tourist Trap remake pretty much. And so, yeah, I saw this in the theaters in 2005. I probably mentioned that before, and I've been due for a rewatch. So I was like, let me pull up on this. And honestly, I mean, is this movie that good? Not exactly, but I mean, I like it. Like, I gave it a 4 and a little heart. Maybe there's some nostalgia in there for me, but honestly, like, I think it's not like the worst film in the world, honestly. It's better than some of those other remakes, in my opinion. Obviously, something like Nightmare on Elm Street, that little stupid remake that they made. And I feel like we're going to talk about another remake that happened too. Oh, we'll get to that one. Wait a minute. I have another one for you too that I really didn't like. This one I'd watch over that one in a millisecond. Yeah, this one's just more fun to me. I don't know. Like, I don't take it too seriously, to be honest, and it's way more fun to think of it as a Tourist Trap remake than anything. But yeah, so that's what I did. The next movie I watched was actually, I think, on the Criterion Channel, and it was for Tabitha, which is a Stephen King remake, or it's an adaptation that comes from Joe from the Horror Queers, who anytime they bring up anything with Stephen King or anything like that, he always just goes Tabitha, to signify that like Stephen King just like yells to his wife Tabitha and be like, Tabitha, they're doing my thing on the TV or whatever, you know. Yeah, it's silly. But yeah, so I watched Christine from 1983, which is a John Carpenter movie. So this is about Arnie Cunningham. He falls for this like car. It's called Christine. It's a Plymouth Fury, a 1958 Plymouth Fury. He becomes obsessed with like restoring it and everything. And as the car changes, he also starts to change as well. And it's like a whole thing like that. It was a pretty good time. I gave it a 3.5 and a little heart. I pretty much said, can't keep a bad bitch down, honestly. And you kind of can't. And it's just like, I don't know, it's an interesting little story. And I think if you're at all interested, and I never, ever seen it before. So I was like, all right, well, you know, I think if you've never seen this movie before, I would give it a watch, because why the hell not? And yeah, you know, it's interesting. A fucking sentient car that kills people. Why the hell not? I'm into that. So then this other one that I watched was actually because, well, it was a movie with triangular imagery, which was the prompt to watch. And this was Speak No Evil from 2022. Now, most recently, there has been an American remake of this starring James McAvoy in it. But this movie is about a Danish family who meets a Dutch family, Danish family visits a Dutch family that they met on a holiday in Italy or something. And what was supposed to be like an idyllic weekend then starts to unravel as these Danish folks are trying to stay polite in the face of unpleasantness. And I ended up giving this a 4. I don't think I gave it a heart, because I don't think I won't say I didn't like it, but I'm not like, you know, whatever. But yeah, I pretty much just said, girl, fuck your feelings. I've been out of there. Yeah, some of these, if anything, the horror of this is very much that kind of like, it's, I don't know, like social cringe. It kind of is a little bit, but also like it's this thing of like, you feel like these Danes are like so stupid because of like, oh my God, why are you still here? Why are you still here? Especially when they try to escape, or when they do leave and then they end up coming back. It's a whole thing. But yeah, apparently also they changed the American remake. The ending is literally different. This one is a way more bleak ending, if anything, but I liked it though. I think it is worth a watch. And I think, in my opinion, at least, I'd probably just watch this over the remake or whatever. Especially if you're not into the fact that they changed the ending pretty much. But yeah, so that's what I ended up watching. Then the next thing I watched was for Anthology. And this was for VHS Beyond from 2024. If you may already know this because I put it up, but I'm going to be doing the VHS, the first movie, sometime this month when you're hearing this in November. And so this is our 7th movie in the franchise of VHS. I have watched all of them, and this one is a bit more of like a sci-fi slant to it, and that's what we're looking at with this. I gave this a 3, and I kind of liked it generally. It sure was a movie. Like some of these, so there's this like video game sort of one, not really video game, but like it's the way it's structured is just kind of interesting. There's one about like these friends that are like going skydiving. There's one about this Bollywood like star, and how that all kind of happens. One about that was directed actually the segment that is directed by Justin Long and his brother, and that one is very much kind of talking about how Justin Long just hasn't gotten over being in the movie Tusk. And what was the other one? What was the last one? I don't remember. Whatever that other one was. But I thought it was fine. I have a Shudder account, so I thought, why not just pull up? And that was VHS Beyond, if anything. And of course they're going to make VHS 8, and I'm going to be pull up right for it, to be honest with you. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, the next thing I watched after that, though, was a found footage movie. I definitely ended up watching another one of these. I watched like 2 or 3 other ones, actually, or something like that. You'll hear more about that. But yeah, found footage. I decided to actually watch Cloverfield because I had never seen it before. I was familiar, I guess, with the story, if anything, but I just never had seen it. But if you don't know what Cloverfield's about, it's about these like 5 young New Yorkers. They are having this like going away party for a friend of theirs who got the job in like Japan. And pretty much what ends up happening is this monster, not Godzilla, but like definitely alien in nature, I guess, decides to wreak havoc on New York City. And I liked this personally. I gave it a 4 and a little heart. This movie was a little stressful, but I did enjoy myself with it. I think this would be a really cool movie to see in theaters if you could see it. And I liked my watch of it, to be honest with you. So yeah, Cloverfield, pull up. I think it's worth a shot, if anything. The next thing I watched was for the Horror Queers, and it was for the prompt of green. So choose a movie that's very green. And I decided to go with Grave Encounters from 2011. So if you don't know what Grave Encounters is, this is about a crew from a paranormal reality show. And they lock themselves into a haunted psychiatric hospital. They search for evidence of paranormal activity, and they shoot what ends up being their final episode. And for me, at least, I gave this a 3. This movie was a decent time, though. Like, I think maybe even give it a 3.5. I don't really know, but like, it's not the worst film in the world. I mean, if you're into found footage or you're into this kind of like, mockumentary-ish, or like you're following these people around style sort of thing, I would give it a shot. I guess not mockumentary, but it kind of is a little bit because they're treating it like a TV show. But yeah, I would pull up on this. I have not seen the sequel or anything like that, but this one I thought was kind of a good time, and I didn't mind my watch of it, to be honest. The next thing I watched, though, was actually it's a crime thriller, I guess you could call it. And, it was The Guest from 2014. This came out, I guess, when I was graduating college, I assume. And this is an Adam Wingard movie. So if you don't know what The Guest is about, it's about this soldier played by Dan Stevens. Yes, the same Dan Stevens who was in the live-action Beauty and the Beast movie. He was just in the Cuckoo movie with Hunter Schafer in it. But anyway, a soldier played by him introduces himself to the Peterson family, who they just had a death of their son, who was also in the military. And after this young man is welcomed to their home, a bunch of accidental deaths start to happen, and the sister of the guy who's played by Michael Monroe, Anna, she's on the hunt for what's actually going on, and we find out that Dan Stevens is up to no good, bitch. And I really liked this personally. I gave it a 4 and a little heart. I just said one time Dan Stevens punched me in the face. It was awesome. And listen, I liked my watch of this. I thought it was really cool. cool. I thought Michael Monroe was great in it. I thought Dave Stevens was great in it. Like, kind of everyone was really great in it, to be honest with you. The guy from The First Hatchet is in this. Ethan Embry's in it. Like, it was a good time. Like, I'm not even gonna hold you. Like, it was an interesting, weird time, but I liked it though. Because I don't like, is it a horror movie? Like, kind of, sort of, but like, I don't know, it's just like, it's like an action adventure, not action adventure, but like, it's a good time. Go pull up on the guest if you haven't done so already, especially if you want to see hot Dan Stevens. Like, I'd be down for that for sure. The next thing I watched, though, was also, it was the next day, and I watched a Foggy movie. So can you guess what I chose? That's right. I chose John Carpenter's The Fog from 1980. I just said, like, why is Tom Atkins so hot in here? Because he is. And so, like, if you don't know what The Fog is about, so The Fog is about a little coastal town in California, and pretty much what happens is there's this legend about these like pirates who like were lost at sea, and a bunch of shit goes down, and it's how the town was founded. Actually, I think it's Anchor Bay or whatever. It's like Anchor something or other. I know people are probably yelling at me, be like, Jesse, it's this. But I'm just like, okay, like it was almost a month ago that I watched this. Like, I don't remember things very well like that. Anyway, so this fog comes into town, and it's hiding these like fucking weird ass like pirate zombie things or whatever, and it's beating people's ass pretty much, and it was a good time in my opinion. I gave it a 3.5 and a little heart. It wasn't a bad movie at all. I think if you're at all looking, I haven't watched all of John Carpenter's movies, so this is just one to be able to have watched, which was nice. But yeah, I kind of liked it. It was a good time. But yeah, the next thing I watched the same day was for the prompt of Drug Trip. And there were a few that I could go on for this. However, I decided to pull up on a movie that was done by a dude named Gaspar Noé. Not Enter the Void. No, I did watch that before. And that was a hoot and a half. But I decided to go for Climax from 2018. So Climax is about a dance troupe. It's the French dance troupe, and they are lured. They're in the empty school. They're like rehearsing or whatever, and pretty much what happens is somebody laces their sangria with like drugs, pretty much, and what transpires is just a fucking crazy, dark, like fucking weird ass nightmare for everybody involved. And it's a lot going on. I said Jojo Siwa could never. Hidden Panettiere could never. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, it just was like, this movie is fucking weird, dude. I haven't watched all of Gaspar Noé's stuff. I've only watched, like I said, like Enter the Void, and now I've watched this. I have not pulled up on Irreversible, nor do I know if I really want to. But I thought this was a good time. It was really interesting to just see these different people and how it turns into like a fucking weird ass, like crazy shit nightmare. I don't know. It's like, proceed with caution if you're going to watch Climax, but it's a good time if you're into this kind of shit, I think. And also the dancing in this, all of these people, like, they're not particularly good. They're not trained actors, really, honestly, except for maybe the main girl. Everybody else is like very much dancer, and some of the dance sequences are so fucking cool. So yeah, it was a good time. But yeah, I liked Climax personally. The next thing I watched was A Quiet Place from 2018. This was both a creature feature and a flashlight movie, because there is flashlights in this a little bit. This was an interesting film to me. I didn't like hate it, but I didn't love it either. I gave it a 3, really. If you don't know what A Quiet Place is about, it's about in the near distant future, I guess. There's this family who is forced to live in silence while they're hiding from creatures that are hunting by sound. So it's had like a sequel and then a prequel that just came out this year with Lupita Nyong'o. So yeah, I mean, it was fine. It was directed by John Krasinski, who's also in the movie, but it's an interesting premise, but I just in my opinion, at least, like, I just am not, I don't know, like, I don't maybe think I would watch like the other movies in this, just in my opinion. But maybe I would. Who knows? I don't know, but we'll see about that. But yeah, Quiet Place, I think you should pull up on, and if you're vibing with that other movies, if you're vibing with that movie, try the other movies in it, and it could be a good time. The next thing I watched was actually for it's an older movie. It was for Mad Scientist, and it was Bride of Frankenstein from 1935. And all I had to say was that she just deserved better, honestly. If you don't know what this is about, so it's about Dr. Frankenstein and his monster. They both turn out to be alive at the end of Frankenstein, I guess, not killed as previously believed. And he decides he wants to get out of the, evil experiment business. But another mad scientist, Dr. Pretorius, kidnaps his wife, and they agree to make a new creature, which is now the Bride of Frankenstein. So, of course, this is a James Whale movie. James Whale was a big homosexual. But this was fine. Like, I didn't dislike it, but I'm also like I said, 3 out of 5. Like, I think it's good to watch it, but I kind of liked Frankenstein a little bit more, honestly. And especially, Ella Lancaster is like the Bride of Frankenstein, or Elsa Lancaster, that's her name. But and she's cool in it near the end, but like you literally see the bride in like the last 5 minutes of the movie. You know what I mean? So I was just like, okay, this is cool, I guess, but like I'm not raring to necessarily watch it again. Just my kind of opinion, but yeah. And the next thing I watched from that, I watched a little movie. It was an Indonesian movie, and it's called Impetigore from 2019. This was Joko Anwar, who also did Satan's Slaves, which is also an Indonesian movie, and they be doing some things. Impetigore is pretty much about a woman who inherits this house at her ancestral village. She's unaware that the members of this community, though, have been trying to locate and kill her, to pretty much remove the curse that this, that has been plagued this village forever, where the babies in this village are born without skin and then have to be drowned. Pretty much, it's like a whole thing. So yeah, it's kind of a good time. Like I generally liked it. I think I gave it a 3.5. I just said, damn, bro. Yeah, but I think if you're at all interested in looking at Asian horror or Southeast Asian horror or any of that kind of stuff, I really would pull up on that, honestly. I thought it was an interesting time, and I think it's on Shudder if you have Shudder, which I guess means you can get on AMC Plus, perhaps. But yeah, I would check it out personally, and just see what you think. The next thing I watched was actually a Tobe Hooper movie from 1985, and this was Life Force, which is a vampire movie. I just said this is a fucking ride. I generally enjoyed myself, though. So Life Force it was a space movie. It's about a space shuttle mission that's investigating Halley's Comet. They bring back a malevolent race of space vampires who transform most of London's population into zombies. And the only survivor of this expedition and British authorities attempt to capture a mysterious but beautiful alien woman who appears to be responsible for everything. Yeah, so instead of doing Return of the Living Dead like Tobe Hooper was going to, he ended up doing this movie instead. And I think this is a canon film as well, if I'm not mistaken. But I give this a 4 and a little heart. I'd probably watch this again. I was a little tired when I was watching this, but I probably would watch this again. It was really interesting, and I thought that it was very beautifully shot, which was really nice. And yeah, I enjoyed my watch of it personally. So that's what I ended up seeing. Then the next thing I watched was for the prompt of Succubus. So I could have maybe just watched Jennifer's Body or something of this, or I could have watched the first VHS where there's a Succubus story. Or maybe tried to pull up on the Siren movie that ended up being spun off from that segment in VHS or whatever. You'll hear more about that later this month. But yeah, this was a movie called Serpent Slayer from 1995. It has Jeff Fahey in it. This is pretty much about a guy named Tom. He's seduced by this woman named Lilith, who's a succubus, who's out to drain him and destroy his marriage. He's married to, I think, Heather Medway, I believe. And Listen, I this only has 94 ratings on there has 94 reviews on Letterboxd. And I think only 400 people on Letterboxd have logged to seeing this, and I can see why, because I didn't like this movie. I gave it a 1.5. I think this could have easily been called The Cat's Meow, and it would have made a lot more sense because there's a lot more cat imagery in this, and also the succubus it turns into a cat and then turns into this like hot lady. So it could have maybe been that way, but like Serpent's Lair, I was like, what the fuck is the Serpent's Lair, I guess? But like, okay, I really should have just watched another movie in my opinion, but whatever, it's fine. I also watched another Tobe Hooper movie because the prompt was a Tobe Hooper movie. And so I ended up pulling up on the Funhouse from 1981. This does start off kind of slow, but I did end up enjoying myself once this actually revs into action. If you don't know what the Funhouse is about, it's about this teenage girl, Amy, played by Elizabeth Brennanridge. How do you say her name? It's Barrage, sorry. Who ended up being literally the next year, I think, was in the movie Amadeus. So that's kind of fun. But yeah, this is about how she is defies her parents by going to this like carnival with her boyfriend and a few of her friends, and they end up going into this like funhouse ride, and they see a murder happen to a sex worker that's there, and shit goes left from there pretty much. I like the Funhouse personally. Like, I give it 3.5 and a little heart. I think it's, if you're at all interested in Tobe Hooper's work, which I kind of am, I had tried to watch a good amount of his stuff. I had not watched this one yet, so I pulled up on it, and I think it's a good time to watch. I'd probably cover this in the show too, for sure. And then the next thing I watched was actually for the prompt of Mary Lambert. And I decided, so you think maybe I could have watched like Halloween 2, Calabar's Revenge, or I could have watched like Urban Legends Bloody Mary, I guess, or something. Or I could watch Pet Sematary or Pet Sematary 2. I was actually planning on watching Pet Sematary 2, but I said not to. And instead I decided to watch a little movie from 2000 called The In Crowd. So The In Crowd is about a young lady who is she's quote mentally disturbed because she had like an inappropriate relationship with like this professor of hers or something. Anyway, she takes a job at a country club. She falls in with a clique of like wealthy college kids where she's taken under the wing of this like clique's twisted leader, and that bitch is actually crazy. So it's kind of a fun time. It's not a great film necessarily, but you have some interesting people in here. You have Nathan Bexton from Nowhere, from Gregor Aki, and he's been in some other fun films. But also you have like the other people I knew of were like Taylor Negron plays like a gay guy in this movie. He's like a throwaway character, but also Dane from Jawbreakers in this movie, Ethan Erickson, and also Catherine Town as well, who's in She's All That and Mulholland Drive and like But I'm a Cheerleader and stuff. Yeah, she's also there. So it was like kind of a good time. Like, I don't know. Josh from the video Dropbox, they did an episode on this a while back, and I was listening to it a little bit, but I like this kind of trash personally. This is very much like a soap opera plot or whatever, that kind of shit, which is kind of up my alley. I don't mind that kind of a thing. And I think if you want to watch like kind of stupid early 2000s trash, like I think this is a fun one to watch personally. So yeah, pull up on The In Crowd. Why not? The next thing I watched after that, so I tried watching Chopping Mall again, and listen, I don't dislike Chopping Mall necessarily. I think I fell asleep. So yes, I did try to watch Chopping Mall this month. However, I did not finish it. So there's that. But anyway, I do want to do it on the show at some point, but you know, as many may know, like the movie is not exactly the best film. But I mean, Kelly Maroney is there and Barbara Crampton's there. So I mean, I gotta give it up to my girls. But anyway, so I watched another found footage movie. It was part of the prompt that I had, and this was called Unknown Project. It was on Tubi. It's from 2013. This is about 3 documentary filmmakers who are heading home from Burning Man in their RV. They decide to set up camp in the desert. Things get creepy, and this is pretty much an alien movie. And it looks like only 200 people have like viewed this on Letterboxd. It has about 56 reviews. And again, I can see why, because this is a cool concept. I'm not mad at the concept. I just didn't think the execution was all that good. Yeah, this is just like not that interesting to me personally. So I gave it a 1.5. So yeah, you can just skip Unknown Project if you ever see it. Pop up on your feed or anything like that. Just skip it. It sucks. Anyway, so next thing I watched was for the prompt of Blue. And this was, I decided to go into aquatic horror, and I decided to watch a little movie from 2017 called 27 Meters Down. So if you don't know what this is a shark movie. It's about these 2 sisters, one of whom is played by Mandy Moore, and they're on a vacation in Mexico, and they are trapped in a shark observation cage at the bottom of the ocean with oxygen that's running really low. Great white sharks that are circling nearby. They have about less than an hour of air left, and they're trying to figure out how to get to the surface. I just said in my little review, damn, that's crazy, because it was. Yeah, some people really don't like this movie. Personally, I kind of liked it. I gave it a 3.5 and a heart. Like, I didn't dislike it necessarily, but I can understand why people did not like it, I guess. But I'm also just like, no, again, I have a high level for trash, I guess. So I'm not opposed to it. And yeah, and I also know there's a sequel to this. I don't think, I do not believe that Mandy Moore is in it, although I may be wrong. Who knows? But I know there's a sequel to this. Maybe I'll pull up on that too. That could be fun. What is it? Uncaged or something like that? Yeah, I think that's what it was, but whatever. Yeah. So the next thing I watched was for a zombie movie. And I decided to pull up on a little movie called Brain Dead from 1992, or Dead Alive, whichever one you want to call it. This is one of Peter Jackson's early films. This is before he ever went to the Shire, and whatever. If you don't know what Brain Dead or Dead Alive is about, so pretty much this takes place in New Zealand. A rat monkey bites this woman who is Lionel's mother, Lionel Cosgrove, who is our main character. She's transformed into a zombie. She begins killing the entire town and then transforming the entire town into zombies. And Lionel is trying to get everything under control, and boy howdy does he. This is a very bloody movie. But it's slapstick. It's gore and slapstick. It's whatever you want to call that. There is a name for it. I just can't remember. But it's very over the top. It's very camp. It's very crazy, and I kind of loved it. It was a 4 and a little heart. This is just something where this just shows what Peter Jackson could do early, obviously, but then in his subsequent films he's done, which we'll talk about another one as well. But this, it just shows that like he could end up doing some really interesting work down the line, which I thought was really cool. But yeah, that's what I watched. The next thing I watched was actually for a camping trip. That was the prompt, and I decided to go on Prime Video, and I found Campfire Tales. Now I will say Campfire Tales from 1997, not exactly a camping trip, but it does give you the vibes of a camping trip, and it's also in the title, Campfire Tales. But yeah, this is not about camping necessarily. This is an anthology movie, so it's about like scary urban legends that are done with a modern twist. It has like a fun little like cast in it. Like you have Christine Taylor in like the wraparound story. Danny Masterson's little brother, the one from Malcolm in the Middle, he's in there too. Ron Livingston's in there as well. He's actually in the first segment. So like the first segment is like a kind of I don't know if it's like a Wendigo story or it's like a werewolf story, like kind of that sort of a thing. But it's also a telling of like the boyfriend's death urban legend. The second one of these actually, which is the people can lick too, so it's very much that kind of urban legend. So that one though is actually kind of effective and a little scary because that one's fucking weird, dude. So yeah, it's about this young girl, like 12-year-old, and her older sister, but the 12-year-old is left at home alone, and she's been chatting on her computer. She's been instant messaging a friend of hers, and we find out that friend is not her friend. That friend is a man who has nefarious things, whatever. It's creepy as shit. And then the last one is called The Locket, and that is like a play on. It's an interesting story, and it's also a play on the Green Ribbon legend. If you know, you know. But yeah, I didn't mind this movie. There's people who really hate it. I gave it a 3 and a little heart. I kind of liked it personally. I didn't think it was the worst anthology ever. I'm also a sucker for anthologies personally, so this just feels like a direct-to-video thing, because it probably was, honestly, but I didn't dislike it though. I thought it was fine. Like, I would pull up on it again probably. I'd cover it on the show. I added it to my list. Like, hell yeah, why not? The next thing I watched was actually, I had done the remake of this last year on the show, but I decided to pull up on 13 Ghosts for the prompt of a movie involving the number 13, because it was October 13th. And so yeah, this little movie is from 1960. This is a super little fun movie. I watched the remake when I was a kid, and I kind of loved it, even though it's trash, but still. But I like this one too. This is pretty much about this dude and his family and their weird Dr. Zorba like guy. Cyrus is the guy's name in this, with his family. Him and his family move into this house, and pretty much they find out that there's 13 ghosts that live in the house too. This is a William Castle movie, which he is, known for his gimmicks and everything like that. This also has Margaret Hamilton in it, who is the Green Witch from The Wizard of Oz. It's kind of a good time. I actually kind of liked it. I would maybe cover it on the show again. I would probably cover it in the show to be like, hey, I did the remake and now I'm doing the initial movie. So yeah, it was a good time. If you want a 6-season movie, like definitely pull up on that one. The next thing I watched was I think it was the prompt of Hat, if I'm not mistaken. And I decided to pull up on, I think it was a Monday or something. I don't even remember, but I decided to pull up on a little movie from 2014. It's celebrating 10 years now. And it was The Babadook from 2014. This is the first time I watched this in almost 10 years, because I remember watching this with a friend of mine, Rob, and I really like this movie. I gave it a 4 and a little heart. There are some people who hate the kid in this. They think he's so fucking annoying, but he's supposed to be. I ended up not pulling up on The Nightingale, which is also Jennifer Kent. But I do kind of want to watch that, because I've heard that it's even though it's heart-wrenching, but it's still really good though. So maybe I'll pull up on that too at some point. But anyway. But yeah, The Babadook, it's fucking awesome, and I liked it personally, so I'd pull up on The Babadook. Why not? It's about grief. It's about being a single mom. It's like a whole thing. I feel like I almost cried in this movie. It's a whole thing. So I liked it. So pull up on The Babadook if you want to. The next thing I watched was from 2007, and I decided to pull up on this one. It's a James Wan movie. It was directed by him, and this came out after Saw, and it's called Dead Silence. Jamie, who is the guy from True Blood, the brother to Anna Paquin, Ryan Kwanten, I believe. He returns to his hometown in search of some answers after his wife is mysteriously murdered, I guess. And yeah, there's some ventriloquist dummies. There's a legend of Mary Shaw. It's like a whole thing. And honestly, this movie gets dogged on. It's dumb, stupid fun. I appreciate that. It definitely has the Saw ending, if you will, if you know, you know. But yeah, I give this a 3.5 and a little heart. I kind of like the stupidity of it all. And yeah, I mean, I kind of, I didn't mind it though. I'd probably watch it again, honestly. It's just very, Donnie Wahlberg's there for some reason, probably because he was just in Saw. So I was or he was in one of the Saw movies, I guess. I don't think he was in the first Saw, but still. I just watched those however long ago. I watched 3 of them. So did I watch Saw 4? it doesn't matter, whatever. But anyway, so the next thing I watched after Dead Silence was another Peter Jackson movie, which I talked about with The Brain Dead. But I watched Heavenly Creatures from 1994. This one was on YouTube somewhere, I found it, and it's a very infamous movie because it is based off of true events, but also, I mean, this movie is just fucking awesome. I think I gave it a 4.5 and a heart. Like, I would own this in a minute. If you don't already know, this is literally the film introduction of one Miss Melanie Lynskey from, Yellow Jackets, 2.5 Men, But I'm a Cheerleader, whatever, but also of Kate Winslet before she was ever on a boat or anything like that. She plays a wealthy teenager named Juliet who comes to New Zealand. She's a Brit, and she befriends Pauline, played by Melanie Lynskey, and Pauline gets this like kind of obsessive thing with her, and it's like a whole thing, and it culminates into the girls deciding that they need to kill Pauline's mom, and they do at the end, and it's a whole thing. God, this movie is so good. I enjoyed myself with it. So pull up on Heavenly Creatures, go find it. It's an interesting movie, and I think you'll be shocked when you're just like, Jesus Christ, like, how are these babies so baby? And I was like, yeah, I know, right? The next thing I watched after this, though, is actually on Hulu, and it is from last year, and it's called No One Will Save You. This is an alien movie. This is a movie that has really no dialogue in it. I think it could have been a little shorter, though, but I did think the main actress, Caitlin Dever, is really good in it. This is about a lady it's about a girl who's like very anxiety ridden. She's a homebody. She has like a little business at home, and she has to battle an alien who has found their way into the home and are trying to abduct her and take her ass. But yeah, and you find out why exactly she's a homebody and why she's just like kind of not fucked with in regards to the town she's living in and all this. But yeah, it was a good time. I gave it 3 and I liked it enough. It was fine. Maybe some people would really hit for, but generally I think this would be a fun little Hulu movie to throw on. It's not the worst thing, and yeah, I would, I'd recommend it. I'd say watch it and give it a shot. The next thing I watched was also from last year. It's on Shudder. I will say, if you're not into spiders or anything, like, please don't watch it. But this is Infested, or Vermin. Because, it looks like vermins, but like, of course, with like French, like, you don't ever say fucking the consonants. So it's probably Vermin. Or whatever. Don't you like my French accent? But yeah. But I liked some cool sequences with these spiders kicking people's asses. Pretty much, it's pretty much about it's about this like complex, French apartment complex. Residents of this like rundown apartment complex, they are battling against these like deadly ass spiders, pretty much, and it's a good time. It's like it's a little bit like Attack the Block a little bit, but not in English, pretty much. But it also has fucking killer spiders. It was a good time. I didn't dislike it. Gave it a 3.5. I didn't give it a heart or anything, but I liked it enough. It was cool. The next thing I watched was, I think, on the Criterion Channel, and this was another Tabitha. Yeah, it was another Stephen King adaptation. This was with Johnny Depp, and it's called Rear Window. Wow, Jesse. This is called Secret Window. And this is about a Mort Rainey, who is this writer. He is getting divorced from his wife, or his ex-wife, I guess. He goes out to this like lake house to try to write a book or to get some ideas or whatever the hell. He is stalked by this psychotic guy who says that he stole his story and all this. And this was done by Mr. David Koepp, which we did cover Stir of Echoes, which he directed. And this just was not one of my favorites. I think Stephen King has better adaptations than this personally, and I just didn't really like it. It's 2.5 for me. I would not recommend this one personally. So you can leave this one, honestly. You just pass it on by, boo. The next thing I watch, I don't want you to pass on by though. This is another remake. It's from 1988, and it is The Blob, bitch. And all I could say is this movie fucking rules. This is a Chuck Russell movie. So this is about a small town in California. These three high school students, one of whom is played by Shawnee Smith from the Saw movies. Pretty much they are trying to protect their town against this gelatinous ass alien life form. And is just fucking killing everybody, and it's a crazy thing. I fucking love this movie. The practical effects are to die for. They're very well done. I will say there's a weird sexual assault scene a little bit with a guy in a car with a lady, and it's a whole thing. And it doesn't, it's weird, but I will say, I think even with that, everything else is fucking awesome though. This movie is so cool. And if you've never seen The Blob, I've never seen the 50s Blob. So, I liked this one. I would definitely watch it again. I would own it probably. I'd probably go around the show as well. So, anybody who wants to go and do The Blob with me, please let me know. But yeah, so the next thing I watched was actually it's on Shudder, and it's called We Are Still Here. This is from Ted Gojhigen, I believe. I don't know how to say his last name. I'm sorry. This is about this mother and father. So their college-age son dies, and these folks relocate to a New England little town, and you're hearing strange noises and these eerie feelings in their house. They're convinced that their son's spirit is still with them. They invite this eccentric ass new age couple to help get to the bottom of this mystery. I liked this movie enough. It was perfectly fine. I'm very glad that Barbara Crampton got some work, and this movie has some pretty good gore in it, I would say. And also I think Larry Fessenden, who plays one of the new age couple. I think he does a really cool job in this too, especially when he is being possessed by an evil demon or whatever. But yeah, I thought this was a good time personally. So yeah, go check out We Are Still Here if you're a fan of Barbara Crampton, or if you like Larry Fessenden, or yeah, I don't know. It was a fine time. I didn't dislike it, but yeah. The next thing I watched was actually from earlier this year, and it has some of the girlies divided, but this is I saw the TV Glow from 2024. Like I said, if anything, this movie is about these teenagers, really. So there's this teenager, Owen, who's played by Justice Smith, and they're just trying to make their way through life. They have this classmate, Maddie, who introduces them to this mysterious show called The Pink Opaque, and yeah, it's just some the view of reality that Owen has and that Maddie has, it starts to just crack a little bit more. And I think if anything, I'm glad for the people that this really connects with. Actually, my friend Rob really liked this movie. I think Bridget Lundy Payne is a really good actress. They were also in the Bill and Ted's Save the World or whatever. Oh my God, what was it? Face the Music. That's what it is. They're in there along with Samara Weaving, funny enough, as one of Bill and Ted's one of their kids, I guess. So that's kind of fun. Yeah, I don't think I would revisit this one. Maybe I watched it again. I don't know. Yeah, it's a good time, and I think this will really resonate for people who are maybe of trans experience, definitely, especially since Jane Schoenbrunn, who is the director of this movie, they had done We're All Going to the World's Fair before, which, if you don't already know, I did not like that movie. This one I think I liked more, though. But again, it's just something where I'm not it's not going to be oh my God, this is my personality now, but it's just it may not be for everybody, but I think for the people who it is for, it's going to be for sure. I maybe cover it on the show. I would maybe cover this on the show perhaps, but maybe give it a few years. I don't know. Or something like that. The next thing I watched was actually from 2011. This is a movie that has been made again, but it's called The House is October Built. So this was then remade in a movie in 2014, which is kind of just a remake of this movie. And then it also a sequel, The House That October Was Built, I think, 2 or whatever. So I haven't watched those ones, but I watched this one because it was on Shudder. And overall, so this is about a guy and his, this crew of his. They are going around to all these different haunts, and they're doing like a little documentary about these different haunts and all this kind of shit. And the people who are a part of haunts and all this sort of stuff. For me at least, some people maybe don't like this original like 2011 movie, and they might watch the 2014 one a little bit. I actually really liked this one. I gave it a 3.5. I think the ending of this is like really creepy and it's fucking weird. But yeah, I would pull up on The House as October Built in 2011 if you kind of want something that's a little bit more not as polished or something like that. I would pull up on it for sure. Like it was an interesting time for sure. The next thing I watched was it was Maxine just came out, and I haven't watched that yet, but I have seen X from Ty West, and I decided I had to pull up on Pearl from 2022. Pearl, if you don't know, this is a Mia Goth movie, but Pearl is in the movie X, when she's an old lady with her husband Howard, and they're killing people on their fucking farm, and this is when she was a young lady back in like the 1910s or something like that. I think it was 1918 or something like that, because he is away at war. But Pearl is having to tend to her ailing father. Her mom is like really devout and a German, and but Pearl's gonna be a star. And it's an interesting movie. I liked it though. I gave it a 3.5 and a little heart. I thought this was a fun time. It's a fucking weird ass movie, and I kind of liked it personally. I don't know. Pearl is delusional, and she is a little touched in the head, maybe a lot touched in the head, honestly. But I kind of liked it. So go off, Pearl, go off. The next thing I watched was actually from the 60s. This is a movie for the 60s, and is Eyes Without a Face. This is a French movie. So this is about, this doctor who is riddled with guilt after an accident of his causes this disfiguration of his daughter, and pretty much this doctor and his lab assistant, they kidnap young women and they take their faces to like put them onto his daughter to make her beautiful again. And it's fucking weird as hell, and it's French as hell. But I kind of liked it personally. I gave it a little 3.5 and a heart. This was on Criterion Channel, I believe. But yeah, go pull up on Eyes Without a Face. It was a really interesting movie, and I think if you're at all interested in like international horror or getting into any of that kind of stuff, I would definitely put this on your list to watch, because it's also been influential for other people within the horror genre as well. The next thing I watched was actually, I don't think I had seen it since I was a kid, probably, but I really didn't rewatch this a whole lot as a kid even. So this movie is Beetlejuice from 1988. You don't know what Beetlejuice is about. So it's this New England couple, played by Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin. They accidentally die, and they are trying to get rid of these new people who are coming into their house. And yeah, they end up using the services of a a biological exorcist or whatever, and his name is Beetlejuice. And and hilarity ensues from there. This is a Tim Burton movie. I liked this. Is a fun time. I have not seen Beetlejuice or anything. I'd probably pull up on it just for fun, but I generally liked my viewing of Beetlejuice. I thought it was a fun time. These next ones I watched were not fun times though. So one of the ones I watched, I don't remember what the category was because I started like falling off. But I decided to watch, it was maybe like intoxication horror. And I decided to watch because I watched Climax earlier this month. But instead of just rewatching that, I decided to watch Shrooms from 2007. To be honest with you, I was like slightly paying attention to this movie. It was sort of boring. The ending happened. It was predictable. The thing it only maybe has going for it is like Lindsay Hahn is in it, and she's like the girl from The Color of Friendship. She's the white girl in that movie, and she's also like one of the little kids from Village of the Damned, another John Carpenter movie. But yeah, this one is about a bunch of teenagers who are coming from America. They're visiting a friend in Ireland, and for some reason they take shrooms, and a bunch of weird shit happens. And I think Lindsay Hahn ends up being the killer, I think. To be honest, I could care less if you watch this movie. Like, it's not that interesting personally. Yeah, it was just sort of predictable after a while, and I was just like, okay, dude, like, what are we doing here? So that was my first little disappointment of that week. But then my next disappointment was because I guess it was another vampire movie I was watching or whatever, but I decided to watch the 2011 remake of Fright Night. And this, if you don't know, Fright Night is about a teenager who suspects that his new neighbor is a vampire. And he tries to enlist the help of a local celebrity, pretty much. In the original, it's a horror host. In this iteration, it is a vampire hunter and a magician, a la Chris Angel. In the original, it is, this guy who hosts Fright Night, Peter Vincent or whatever, who's way better. But yeah, this movie fucking sucked ass. It was not good. Yeah, Colin Farrell, who plays Jerry Dandridge's role in this, or Chris Sarandon's role, sorry, but Jerry Dandridge or whatever, who's like the vampire guy who's super hot. I mean, he is very sexy. Toni Collette is the mom in this movie, to the guy, to Anton Yelchin, that's his name. He's the main kid in this. And I mean, Toni Collette's a goddess, obviously, but this movie just sucked butt. It just was not good. Like, I would not watch this again. Peter Vincent in this movie, did they even call it, is his name Peter Vincent? Oh my god, wait a minute. Like, what's his name? Yeah, his name's Peter Vincent in this movie. What the fuck? Anyway, sorry. So like, yeah, he's legit horrible to watch. David Tennant is him. I don't dislike David Tennant, but like, fuck this movie. I hated it. This cast deserved better. This movie was supposed to be in 3D, I think, too. It was like a whole thing. I hated this movie, dude. I hated it so much. The next movie I watched, though, was for an upcoming episode, though, you'll hear later this month. With my good old buddy Zombie Brando, Brandon, no, that's his name, and it is Blood Rage, or Nightmare at Shadows Woods, or Slasher, or whatever. I watched Blood Rage, y'all, and if you don't know what Blood Rage is about, it's about these twins, Terry and Todd. They seem like sweet boys. That is until one of them takes an axe to somebody at a movie theater, and then some shit goes down from there, okay? And then it's a Thanksgiving horror movie. I give this a 3.5, though. Like, I didn't dislike this. It's not good necessarily, but it's kind of a, it's a fun little bad movie, I guess. And it's one of the only Thanksgiving horror movies we have, really. And it's got some really good special effects. So be on the lookout for that episode as well. Be a good time. The next thing I watched was actually, because I don't remember where it was on, but I wanted to watch this, similar to how I watched like the Funhouse earlier this month. And I've been trying to watch some of the early 80s stuff as well. I decided to watch My Bloody Valentine from 1981. This is a Canuxploitation movie, which was done in Canada. This is about, a Valentine's Day tragedy that happens. These 5 miners get killed, and then 20 years later, this town wants to do like a Valentine's Day dance, but they don't, they're like, no, we can't do that because Harry Warden is gonna like kill everybody or whatever. It's a whole thing. And it's like a slasher movie and everything like that. It's a really interesting little movie. I gave it a 3. It's like a weird ass little movie, and if anything, like, I think it I put it above something like the maybe like the Prowler a little bit. Like I think I'd watch this over the Prowler again, but like, you know, would I watch like The Mutilator again? Like it's definitely one of those kinds of movies. We talk about it in Blood Rage, but like, you know, we talk about the regional horror movies and stuff, and this is definitely kind of in there because it's a Canucksploitation, so it was a Canada movie. But yeah, but Canucksploitation is a little itty bit different than just like regional horror in the US, but still it's all North America though, but still. Go pull up on my Play Valentine if you've never seen it before. I do plan on watching the god-awful remake of it probably, though. So if you're a praying person, please pray for me. The next thing I watched was actually for spoiler alert, it's going to be for an upcoming episode at some point. You'll find out when. But I decided I actually bought this movie because you can't stream it anywhere. But I decided to watch from 1999 an MTV film 200 Cigarettes. So this movie is it's actually female written, female directed. It's about 1981 New York City. It's a collection of different 20-somethings who are trying to cope with like relationships, loneliness, desire, and their own individual neuroses on New Year's Eve. So this is a New Year's Eve movie. It has a cast of like young up and coming people. This is an early role for like Kate Hudson. This is like Gabby Hoffman and Christina Ricci. Guillermo Diaz shows up. It's a whole thing. So you will hear more about this when I do an episode on it. Maybe, you know, sometime in the future. But yeah, this also has a really cool soundtrack and it's a good little time, I think. And it also, you can get a DVD or you maybe even get a Blu-ray of it pretty easily. I got a DVD of it pretty easily, but they did have a Blu-ray at some point. So I don't know if those are still back or not, but you know, it's a good little time. I think you should pull up on this if you're at all interested in like the MTV movie filmography or any of that kind of stuff. I would definitely pull up on it personally. The second to last thing I watched this month was actually something that I also bought, and it's a Blu-ray. I decided, again, because I like 80s cinema and I also love teen cinema as well, I decided to watch The Last American Virgin from 1982. So if you don't know what The Last American Virgin is, this is about a group of friends who are struggling with like different things, whether it be either kind of just juggling all these things like teen sex and drugs and work and stuff like this and whatever. And you know, so like these three guys, like they're trying to like have sex and shit with these girls, and like it's like just the whole thing. Yeah, Diane Franklin's in this movie. She plays like the main female centerpiece of the film. Lawrence Monason from the fourth movie in the Friday the 13th franchise, and also like Steve Anton, who's part of the famous Anton family. They're a bunch of hairdressers, I think, but he's also the same guy who directed Burlesque from 2010. Anyway, they're all in this movie. It's an interesting little movie, and I really liked it. I gave it a 4 and a little heart. I got it on Blu-ray, and I'm very glad I did. The soundtrack of this is like to die for 80s fans, and I also think like this is a very infamous ending, so we'll talk about it if I ever talk about it on the show. I do plan to do an episode on it, but I would pull up on this. You can get either the olive film, which is what I have. It's very bare bones, so just keep that in mind. However, if you do have a Region Philippe Blu-ray player, or you are not in the US, I guess, and you can do region whatever the fuck in other countries, MVD Rewind, I think, did release this movie on Blu-ray, and I think there are more features on it. So you can pull up on that if you have a Region Philippe Blu-ray player, or if you are not in the US and you can actually watch the stuff that's not region locked for the US. But anyway, so yes, so Last American Virgin was rocked. It was really good. And then because I'm recording this on Halloween, I decided to watch a movie that happens on Halloween. So I could have chosen anything, but I decided to go with a tried but true UK classic. I watched this a while back. Ghostwatch from 1992. If you don't already know, this is about the BBC, and they broadcast an investigation into the paranormal. And this was a whole big thing that happened when, you know, back in the day, where people actually thought this shit was real for some reason. This is pre Blair Witch, and it was a good time. I gave this a 3.5 and a little heart. I really do like this movie. It was on Shudder when I watched it. It does show up on like Tubi every so often and things of that nature. But yeah, I really like this personally, and I think it is like super duper underrated in a way. I think it's like just really interesting, and I liked it personally. And everybody, that is what I watched in the month of October, y'all. So I watched a bunch of things. So I hope you enjoyed that. Tell me though, like, what did you watch this month? You watch anything fun? Message me on Instagram or email me or whatever. Tell me some of the things you've watched. Tell me if you recommend anything to me. Any of that kind of shit. So that'll be super fun going on. But yeah, so I think that's everything. I don't really have any super big plans in terms of November. I have the episodes that are going to be coming up, of course. I have a few things going on with that. And then I want to get back on the Sabrina pod as well. So I need to start recording some more episodes of that. But if you are all interested in that. But I think that'll take me out for what I watched in the month of October. But I thank you so much for listening. And I will see you next month. Take care. Bye-bye.